Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. Coming up this hour on the most dangerous show on the airwaves, Fauci knew the COVID vax could cause miscarriages and admitted it in his text. UW bans Hasan Piker's speech that they planned on having. And Sophie Cunningham's coach backs the player that clotheslined her. But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
AOC's running for president. She hasn't formally announced it, but she might as well have. Now, some of you are thinking to yourselves, yes, this is going to be like Kamala Harris 2.0. And you're right, but you're also wrong. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, there are people out there who like a pretty girl, even if she says the dumbest thing in the world, even if she is completely anti-American lunatic, they go, well, she's moderately attractive, so I'm going to vote for her. There's some very lonely people out there in the world. There really, really are. It's the ones who are sitting there going, so you say I have a chance. That's it in real life and politics. But something else, the young people like her a lot. The young people listen to that rambling, incoherent, dumb nonsense and think there's something here. Yes, we should do it. So don't dismiss her too casually because her poll numbers are terrifying. According to Fox News, progressive firebrand Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has surged to the front of the prospective 2028 Democratic presidential field in New Hampshire, edging former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg and leaving former Vice President Kamala Harris far behind in a new poll. Let's be real, Kamala Harris is never going to be close to polling well in this because that was just leftover from the previous election. AOC drew 22% support among likely Democrat primary voters in the University of New Hampshire Granite State poll released Wednesday, 1 point ahead of Buttigieg, 17 points ahead of Harris. Now you wonder, where's Gavin Newsom in all this? He is falling like a brick. He is cratering. So now you're looking at a ticket which might be AOC and Pete Buttigieg. First woman, first Latino woman, first gay man. Just watch. That's going to be the entire campaign. But we already see how she's going to campaign. She released the oddest video that she put out on social media over the weekend. So there are people who do IVF because they can't have kids because they're having trouble having kids. It's a very expensive process. It's a very painful process. And it takes a lot of time. Now, this whole thing that she releases this video about is about her freezing her eggs because of Trump. Let's go through this for a second. AOC, 36 years old. She can still have kids. She is freezing her eggs because of Trump? Well, she's doing this for a number of reasons. Here's her little video.
It's interesting to see you kind of open up in, on an Instagram Live, I believe it was. So tell me what it was and why you decided to do it.
I think it's important for us to normalize these conversations, especially in this political environment. The Trump administration has...
Remind us what the announcement was.
Yeah, sure. So I have decided to start the process of freezing my eggs. Yeah. And in this political environment where this administration is denying reproductive care to women across the country, from abortion rights to the ability to carry out a healthy pregnancy, I think it's important for us as leaders to have these conversations and share these processes, especially for working women across the country, and normalize them.
That's her whole campaign pitch right there. What it's going to be is Trump is taking away your health care. You liberal white women, you soccer moms. Trump is taking away your health care, and because of that, I have to freeze my eggs? What the hell is she talking about here? Okay, let's be real about this. If I was a political consultant, you know what I would say? You are running for president. That's not going to happen for a couple years now. Have the kid now. And then people will go, oh, the new mom, isn't that cute? Or be pregnant on the campaign trail. May not be the healthiest thing, but people will go, the first pregnant woman. Can't get more woman than a pregnant person. I'm using their language. That's not my terms. Pregnant person out on the campaign trail. This is her thing for white women, white college-educated liberal women who are thinking to themselves, I can have it all. I can have my career. I can have kids. I can postpone the kids. I can have the kids later. Let's get into AOC's life a little bit, and let's do this because she brought it up. I'm doing this because she brought it up. Most normal people don't show themselves injecting themselves with hormones on an Instagram video. Okay? That's a little weird in having this whole discussion. It's a private thing. It's a painful thing. Why is she doing this? Because this is her wind-up and her pitch. AOC has been dating the same pasty white dude for, I think, 11 years now. You don't remember the pictures of the two of them during COVID vacationing in Florida where I saw that dude's complexion and I said, wow, I look tan next to that guy. It is the whitest white man you've ever met in your life. You can call him Casper the Friendly Ghost. They've been dating for 11 years. They've been engaged for 4. If you want to have kids, what's holding you back? If you want to have kids now. Unless there's something else going on. She made it public. Let's have that discussion. She's not talking about trouble having kids. She's saying she doesn't want to have kids. And this is a signal to the white liberal women. Trump is the reason. You can't do this. You can't do that. It's a healthcare thing. That's what it was. This is how she kicked off her campaign. No joke. This is really it. Wait a second. I'm a little curious now. Why isn't she married to this guy who she's been with for 11 years and been engaged to for 4 years? That's an insanely long engagement. 4 years? Oh, because if you're married, you have to disclose your spouse's financials on all your filings when you run for office. And I wonder if dude does some stock market trading. I'm curious. I just wonder if we have a little Pelosi situation going on here. Right now, we don't know what this guy actually makes, but if he marries AOC, then we'll know all about it. Now, I'm kind of wondering what changed. AOC said she didn't want to have kids because the world was going to end and we were all going to die because of climate change. Now she's saying she wants to have kids just a few years from now. This is her back in 2019, right before she took that trip with the boyfriend.
We don't have to project 1 minute into our future to see that the climate crisis is already here. On this note, I speak to you not as an elected official or public figure, but I speak to you as a human being, a woman whose dreams of motherhood now taste bittersweet because of what I know about our children's future. And that our actions are responsible for bringing their most dire possibilities into focus.
Oh, we're all going to die in climate change. It's going to be like that movie, Day After Tomorrow. There's going to be this giant deep freeze after a tidal wave, and the only way to keep the fire going is to burn books in the New York Public Library. Never mind that deep freeze can take down jet engines, but it can't take down the fire in a fireplace of books in the New York Public Library. What a stupid movie that was. Kevin's like he never saw it. It is a terrible, stupid movie. It is one of the worst movies I have ever seen. And you know, normally in these big disaster flicks, you go, okay, it's cool how they destroyed the world or something. It's not even cool in this one. It's lame CGI.
Well, thank you for telling me that, which is, I didn't need to see it to know that.
Yeah.
I saw the trailers. I saw the commercials. I knew what it was.
I think it was one of those, remember before Marvel was run on FX nonstop, where it's always a Marvel movie on FX? The Day After Tomorrow was always on.
That, I do know that is one of those ones that was on rotation all the time.
Always on. And anytime it came on, I went, nope, absolutely not. One time was enough for me. I watched it out of curiosity, I think on a plane one time, and I'm like, this is the dumbest movie I have ever seen. Yeah, but we're all going to be in that deep freeze from Day After Tomorrow. We're all going to die. All going to die. So beforehand, it's too dangerous to have kids. Now you want to have kids. You just can't have them because of Trump? Okay, this is pitch one of hers. But AOC's got a lot of baggage. AOC's got a ton of baggage because she supported defunding the police. She supported every unbackable position that has not aged well. And people have said, we don't want the crazy. That's shown in every single poll. So now AOC has a problem. How does she get rid of all her past insanity of supporting rioters, supporting defunding the police, supporting every woke, insane policy there is? Oh, let's just, you know what? I just want a do-over. Can we just do a do-over? Just a do-over, right? AOC was on ABC's This Week on Sunday saying that the woke era one was just crazy. That was just crazy talk. No, that was crazy, right? Forget about all that. That's not a big deal. Let's just ignore all that. Can we get a mulligan? Can we get a do-over?
I have a local city councilman that has this saying, woke one was crazy.
Woke one was crazy. Okay, that's it.
That was crazy.
I think that
was crazy. Autonomous zones and locking people in their houses and shooting them with paintballs and riots and men can become women. That's crazy. That's crazy, right? Wait a second. Is woke 2 any better? So you guys went from burning down Starbucks and smashing in the windows and going after Whole Foods and going after grocery stores and going after anybody who didn't swear allegiance to BLM to let's burn down Tesla dealerships. Yeah, woke one was crazy. Yeah, absolutely crazy. Later in the show, we're going to talk about how things are so much more normal in the WNBA right now, right? Right? How now there's men saying they want to play the WNBA. Woke one was crazy. We'd never do that again, right, AOC?
What's important is that we have to assess what
was it. I mean, did the movement go too far with some of those positions? I mean, you briefly supported the idea of defunding the police.
Well, I think that during this time and especially during COVID, there was a huge opening of the Overton window. We were shut down. There was some of the highest unemployment rates that we have seen because of those shutdowns.
Yeah.
Wait, hey, which party did the shutdowns? Who was big on the shutdowns? So if people are losing their minds and there's high unemployment, oh, right, that was the Democrats, wasn't it?
And I think that the doors were really open in trying to entertain any and every policy that was going to get us to a better place.
So let's burn down the city. That'll get us to a better place, right? Let's burn down the country. That'll be great. Yes, that's right. Let's go with Antifa. I just want to be open to the idea of Antifa. I want to be open to the idea of BLM anarchists lighting fire to our cities. What a great idea. Just be open to it. Try new things, like in college.
I actually think that the discussions that were had in that time were quite fruitful.
Name one. What was the fruitful conversation that was had in 2020? Really? What? Give me one thing that got better since 2020. There's a comedian, I wish I could remember his name, where he says, everything's back to normal since COVID. It's just crappier. That's everything right now. You go to the store, crappier. You go to the restaurant, crappier. It's the same as it was. It's just worse. Kevin's nodding. Look at that giant nodding. Kevin's like, my appetizers are garbage at those restaurants now.
It's true, though. Like places that were open later.
Yep.
They never came back to opening up late again.
My bagel shop used to be open till 5. Now it's only open till 2. If I have a sleep-in day or something, I can't go get bagels.
There was just like, during the pandemic, people became okay with this, so let's just keep doing it.
Yeah, you know what? We used to do a lot of takeout during COVID. Let's not reopen for indoor dining. Because it's just
That's
easier.
A classic, right?
That one.
You go in there and now they just got boxes and stuff stacked where all the chairs and all the tables used to be. You're like, what is going on?
One of my favorite restaurants in LA is a place called Jeff's Sausages. This place, it's that good, Kevin. It is that good. I can't bring it back because it won't transport well. But like, we ever have a reason to go to California together, I'm taking you to this place. The pastrami burger. Oh,
I look forward to all of it. Yeah. Sounds great. Sounds great.
But the problem is, you used to go inside, and it's one of those restaurants, and there's these kind of restaurants where you go inside, It's greasy, it's disgusting, but you don't care because you're like, this is amazing, and I'm getting fatter eating it. I don't care. My arteries are clogging. Now you have to take it home. And it's one of those places where you lose a little something in the transportation because you don't have indoor dining anymore. See? You understand. You understand. You probably understand better than I do because there's too many places like that, right? So now not as good as it used to be. Yes, everything's just crappier. So those fruitful conversations. Yeah, everything's so much better, right? Because of those fruitful conversations that AOC had.
I think that when we talk about crime today, it's fundamentally different than the way that we talked about crime in bringing crime down.
I'm sorry, what? Yeah, fundamentally different. You know how it's fundamentally different? That whole defunding the police thing was insane. Insane. Let's not do that again, but let's defund ICE. Let's abolish ICE because we don't believe in defunding law enforcement, but let's defund law enforcement, right?
Right? And I think that we all share in the goals of having as low a crime rate as possible. I think that...
Do we? Do we, though? Because I'm pretty sure you said this during the riots.
And so they go out and they need to feed their child and they don't have money. So you maybe have to... They're put in a position where they feel like they either need to shoplift some bread or go hungry that night.
Ah, yes, the Les Mis excuse. You robbed a house, I stole a loaf of bread. My sister's child was close to death, we were starving. That's what it was, right? Let's just do the Les Mis version of this. Sure. Oh, we're poor. We need to steal a flat panel TV. Oh, we're down on our luck because we're unemployed. We need to burn down a mechanics. Let's do that. Are you kidding me with this nonsense? This is who the Democrats are going to put up for president. And even though she still says she's a member of the Democrat Socialists of America, you're going to see people like Chuck Schumer go, oh, thank God, she's not after my job. Oh, thank God, she's not running for senator. I get to keep my seat in Senate. I get to hopefully be the Senate Majority Leader. Yeah, let's back AOC. Let's back a person who's not actually a Democrat. Let's back a person who's not actually a socialist. AOC will try to run for president. And I'm concerned that when you look at the Democratic field, the only people you have that they think have a chance are her, Josh Shapiro, and Pete Buttigieg. Now, if you're a normal human being, who do you pick if you're a Democrat? Josh Shapiro, right? Got some executive experience, does an okay job at that kind of stuff, isn't crazy. Nope, can't pick the Jew. Nope, no Jews. No Jews allowed. So it's AOC and Pete Buttigieg, and they're thinking, look at all the boxes they check. She's Latina. She's a woman. She's progressive. Then we got the gay guy. It's going to be great. And do any of them have a record of success? Can you name one bill AOC has sponsored that passed? Can you name one thing Pete Buttigieg did while he was Secretary of Transportation that was good, aside from creating a giant mushroom crowd in East Palestine, Ohio, when a train derailed to try and get rid of toxic chemicals? Or how about the time he updated the pilot system and grounded all the planes in the U.S. because he wanted it to say something like pilot instead of airman because it was sexist? Or how about when he was mayor of South Bend, Indiana, and couldn't get the potholes fixed, and it was so bad that Domino's Pizza had to get them fixed because that's how bad the roads were? Yes, a huge record of accomplishment between these two. But the Democrats figure they got name recognition. They're edgy. The young people like them. That could actually be your ticket in 2028 for the Democrats. Do not discount this, my friends. She could conceivably win. Might be her versus a Vance versus a Rubio. And the progressives are going to go out there and they're going to appeal to these liberal white women and tell them that Trump and whoever Republicans are going to take away their health care, take away their body autonomy, take away their choices. She's teeing that up with this. It may not have been a formal announcement. That's exactly what this is. Do you think she could actually win? Give me a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. 5757. Also, she's doing this because now she could be the darling of people like Hasan Piker. That's right. Hasan Piker got his speech canceled by the University of Washington, the new Democratic spokesman, which kind of shows the left is done with him, too. We'll explain why when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show. Before we get to the Seattle stuff, a lot of texts on AOC. This one here from the 360 I like. AOC could win because of many reasons, but apathy and ignorance of the American voter can play a large part, unfortunately. Wake up, America. Thank you, Ari. Love your show. Well, thank you, 360. Yes, you're 100% right. You ever notice how much AOC sounds like Madeline Kahn in Blazing Saddles? It's uncanny. Give a listen.
I've been with thousands of men, again and again. They sing the same tune. They start with Byron and Shelley, then jump on your belly and bust your balloon.
I tell you, I'm gonna wear out that track. If she's actually running for president, when she goes on her speeches where she actually puts on that voice for her big speeches, that's what she actually sounds like. This one here from Pat, Chris Matthews. Chris Matthews owes an apology for calling Sarah Palin a bubblehead. What, in reference to AOC? Is that what you're saying? This one here from the 425. Hey, Ari. If AOC advances, it sure would be funny to see her debate Vance or Rubio. Yes, but you think her team is ever going to let that happen? Not in a million years, because they know exactly what would happen. Not in a gajillion years. Anyway, other things that aren't happening right now. So, Hasan Piker, the spokesperson for the Democrat Party, who thinks that, let's just go through some of his highlights here, believes America deserved 9/11, advises followers to murder capitalists and watch their blood run in the streets, told black voters to, well, I can't repeat that on air, what he said, but it was pretty awful. Said, we want immigrants to come into our countries and they're going to blank your sisters and then your daughters. He thinks Mao, who killed 50 million plus people, is the greatest leader of all time. Wants communism, which killed 100 million people, to replace the free market. Regularly praises terror groups like Hamas and Hezbollah. Says the Hezbollah flag is his favorite. Thinks Jews should go back to Auschwitz. Says he has no love for America, hates the country while praising China. Oh, and abuses dogs. So this guy was scheduled to be speaking at the University of Washington. And on Friday, we found out that his speech was canceled. Now, Hasan Piker took to the interwebs shortly thereafter to get mad about this. But when he was talking about this, some people said, oh, he made some good points about it. Well, actually, no, he didn't. And let me tell you why. This is the guy who was talking about how, well, if Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro got denied going to a college campus, they got more popular. First of all, let's go over the distinction here. Charlie Kirk, when he spoke at University of Washington, was not brought in by the University of Washington. Charlie Kirk was brought in by Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA had to pay for the expenses of bringing him in. When Ben Shapiro goes to college campuses, Young Americans Foundation and other groups are the ones that bring him in. It's not the colleges themselves. In this case, the Henry M. Jackson, the Scoop Jackson School, went rogue and decided to bring in Hasan Piker, probably because they thought he was edgy. But also, behind the scenes, we're being told that the University of Washington, after being on Trump's radar, worried about losing their federal funding, and after a year plus of unrest on the campus, including the Gaza encampment and over $1 million in damage to the engineering building, the new president has tried to moderate University of Washington. They're still lefties, but you know what? There's certain things they're not going to put up with anymore, like Gaza encampments, in theory. So what happens? The Henry M. Jackson School has decided they are the resistance. They are going to resist all this stuff. So they booked Hasan Piker, and the administration didn't know about it. So now the administration said, are you insane? You're bringing this anti-American Looney Tune on campus, and you know what's going to happen? We are going to get on the Trump's radar again. We're going to have to deal with all that, and there's no upside. You're spending university money on this? Now, I love the change in statements from the University of Washington. When this was first announced, they said, well, it comes from an endowment, and we're not, no taxpayer dollars, even though money's fungible. But then, when they finally said, we're not having this guy on campus, what do they say? We need to review our procedures of how this actually happened. We need to review our policies and procedures, which means you were caught flat-footed the first time. You didn't know what was going on in your own school, and now you have to deal with it. I think this is a huge problem with universities. Not only do you have all these little schools doing whatever they want, But each of these little schools has their own dean, has their own vice dean, has their provost, has their this, has their that, has the assistant to the janitor. What do you think's making college so expensive these days? Could that be part of it? But also the fact that it was even a consideration to bring this guy to campus. Look, here's my opinion. A lot of news outlets actually reached out to me on Saturday night. I came back from the Sabbath and saw a lot of people had reached out and asked me if I was in favor of University of Washington canceling Hasan Piker. And I think that my answer is a little bit more nuanced than that. It's not a yes or no. It's a he never should have been booked in the first place, especially not with an institution that gets taxpayer funding. Once he is booked, however, let him speak. You know why? Because everybody would get to hear his anti-American, pro-terror, pro-communist, pro-Marxist insanity. Everybody can see it. And see it, the Democrat Party will not disown this guy. Something else interesting. You haven't seen a lot of coverage in this from the left-wing media. Because in my opinion, they're happy that a liberal institution said no to this guy. They know he is a giant liability for the Democrat Party. And they know the right's making him into the left. And everybody on the left who this guy's campaigned for, they're putting the two together. That's what they're saying. So they know he's a liability. And the leftist media, they want to win. They want to win. And they can't believe the Democrats are being this stupid. So on all the Sunday shows, you actually saw them asking Democrats, will you condemn Hasan Piker? Will you stand by him? Do you want to still campaign with him? And I couldn't believe it was the mainstream media doing that. I expected that to be something you would see on Fox News. So it's kind of refreshing. Tell you what, though, maybe you think I'm reading too much into this. Give me a call or a text if you disagree with me at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up next, though, my friends, Anthony Fauci's texts are revealed. And one of them, it's a doozy. I'm going to tell you all about he openly lied to everybody when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. We all thought Fauci was an egomaniac. Today we found out he was actually evil. This one is evil. Senator Ron Johnson and Rand Paul's committee released some of Anthony Fauci's texts today. You want to lose it a little bit? This is a text chain from January 25th through 26th of 2021. We're already out of the year of COVID. We're past that. We're talking about the vaccines, and we're talking about what we're seeing with the vaccines. We're already in the mandate phase. Joe Biden's now president, and they're in the mandates. Get the jab, lose your job. Don't get the jab, lose your job. You don't get to go to restaurants if you don't get the jab. That's where we're at in the world. Do you remember that? Remember Anthony Fauci saying this on national television?
Approximately 20,000 pregnant women have been vaccinated with no red flags, as we say, and this is being monitored by the CDC and the FDA.
Oh, he was right about one thing. It was being monitored by the FDA and the CDC. Except people in his texts were challenging him on this and saying, we're seeing some red flags. We're seeing some concerning stuff. So Fauci said he would look into it a little bit more. Here's what his text dated January 25th, 2021 at 6:45 p.m. say. I asked around a bit more, and another issue came up that you need to be aware of. Since many people have significant cytokine storm and fever after the second dose, this theoretically could be associated with miscarriage in the first trimester. People were screaming this from the rooftops, and they were saying, you don't let women eat sushi. You don't let them have a glass of wine. There's plenty of other things you can't let them do during pregnancy. Why are you mandating that they have to get these things? Why are you doing that? Shall we go back and hear what Fauci said again?
Approximately 20,000 pregnant women have been vaccinated with no red flags, as we say, and this is being monitored by the CDC and the FDA.
You err on the side of caution when it comes to pregnancies. February 3rd, 2021, a month after this text. 2 weeks after this text. Fauci said, FDA had found thus far that we have to be careful, but thus far, no red flags about pregnant women. A week after this text, he said that. 1 week. August 11th, CDC's Sasha Ellington. We are not seeing a signal of safety concerns of the vaccine in pregnancy. This vaccine can prevent COVID-19, and that's the primary benefit. August 30th, 2021, NIH Director Dr. Anthony Fauci. Will our vaccine safe? Tens and tens and tens of thousands of women who have been followed by the CDC, who have been vaccinated when they were pregnant. There's no indication whatsoever that there's any increase of any adverse issues in a pregnant woman who is vaccinated compared to a pregnant woman who wasn't vaccinated. It's pretty clear that pregnant women should get vaccinated. September 29th, 2021, 9 months after those texts, from CDC Director Rochelle Walensky. CDC strongly recommends COVID-19 vaccination either before or during pregnancy because the benefits of vaccination outweigh known or potential risks. She said that in a health alert. She told a White House COVID-19 briefing that studies show COVID-19 vaccines are safe for pregnant women. How safe are they here? According to April 2023 VAERS data, adverse analysis of adverse events in pregnant women. Miscarriages, 177. Fetal malformation, 21. Preeclampsia, 83. Preterm delivery, 32.3. Low amniotic fluid volume, 17. Abnormal fetal surveillance, 83. Stillbirth, 135. This is what they were seeing. They were seeing it. They were screaming it from the rooftops. This is wrong. We need to do something about it. And Fauci lied. You should say, we're seeing some things we don't like. We don't recommend this for pregnant women right now. It should have been from the beginning. If you are at risk and you have a pre-existing condition, the vaccine is for you. If you've already gotten COVID, you're fine. You don't need to get the vaccine. But instead, they were forcing it on everybody. I will remind all of you that in my first year as a radio host, which guess what, was 2021 when all this was going on, we had on Dr. Robert Malone, a member of the team that came up with the mRNA vaccine. That interview was banned from YouTube, taken down from social media, from every platform I put it on, except for Rumble, because Dr. Robert Malone was warning about these specific issues. And he said, if you have a pre-existing condition, go get the vaccine. If you want to get it, go get the vaccine. But I do not recommend it for women or pregnant women or young, healthy women because of these specific issues. I truly believe Fauci needs to see the inside of a jail cell. I truly do. There's no excusing this behavior. Science is evolving. You could have said, we're seeing things we don't like. Pregnant women stay away from these things. Weigh the risk of getting COVID versus getting this vaccine. Instead, it's safe. It's safe. It's safe. It's safe. It's safe. How many lives were lost because of that? Because it's safe. It's safe. It's safe. It's safe. How many? How many people losing children? I can't think of anything worse in this world. I cannot think of it at all. Up next, my friends, the WNBA may have a few new male members, or are they identifying as women? We'll tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Looks like a lot of you want to weigh in on the latest Fauci news. We will get to your phone calls, but first, I know most of you were not watching the WNBA, but you probably saw this clip this weekend where Sophie Cunningham is on a fast break going down the court. She's going up for a layup, and a player on the other team named Dejanay Carrington. People said clothesline. That's not the right word for it. Basically, whacked her face to the ground in the most flagrant foul I have ever seen in my life. Got a technical, got ejected from the game, basket counted, Sophie Cunningham's bleeding from the mouth. It was pretty vicious. And you would think once something like that happens that your coach has your back, right? This is Stephanie White, who's the coach of the Fever, and her player is Sophie Cunningham. And her player was just assaulted on national television. Here's what she says.
One of the things about Nay is that she's going to play her butt off, man. She's going to compete. Nobody's going to go walking in for a layup. And so I don't oppose the hard foul. But I also don't think that she intentionally went for the net.
That is one of the most intentional, flagrant fouls I have ever seen in my life. Your coach is supposed to have your back. Yeah, that was dirty basketball. Yeah, that was wrong. I'm glad she got ejected. Instead, you're defending her? This league is broken. This league is broken, completely broken. And now we have some people calling it out. So this is cracking me up. Royce White, former NBA first-round pick Royce White, says he's declaring for the 2027 WNBA draft as well as Enes Kanter Freeman. Freedom, sorry, can't get that right. Give a listen.
Oh, earlier this week, I made the announcement. I'm transgender. I'm a woman. I identify as sometimes identifying as a woman for purposes of basketball, professional basketball. So I'll be declaring for the WNBA draft in 2027 as well. I mean, I think I'd be unstoppable, but I'm a team first guy. I'm a pass first kind of player. I do the little things. I led my team in all 5 major stat categories at Iowa State University. So I do a little bit of everything. I'll do whatever the coach needs me to do. I'll do whatever the girls need me to do.
His deep baritone makes that even better. Now, Royce didn't play very long because apparently he had such a bad phobia, a fear of flying, that it was actually the transgender individual trapped inside him which was responsible for that.
I realized my fear of flying really wasn't a fear of flying. It was the transgender trapped inside of me, caged inside of me, that gave me an aversion to small spaces. I think there are plenty of people out there who have
that makes perfect sense.
A transgender trapped deep down inside of them, and so they think
they're
every
one of
claustrophobic.
you. No. Every one of you do.
Can we stop at this nonsense now? Can we stop it and say the WNBA should be for women only, and we should stop at this trans insanity? Look, Royce White, Enes Kanter Freedom are calling it out, and the WNBA doesn't know what to do. So you know what they are doing? They're having an emergency meeting. The commissioner has called for an emergency meeting to decide what to do about this. What is their official policy for the WNBA? Oh, we live in the craziest times. We really, really do. Yeah, AOC was right. Woke 1, nothing. Woke 2 is way more tame than Woke 1. Way more tame. We go to the KVI studio line, take a call from Dan in Maple Valley. Dan, what's going on, man?
Hey, Ari, thanks for the call. Hey, that COVID thing, my daughter owns a hair salon in Great Falls, Montana. When they started issuing those shots, she lost eight of her patrons lost their babies after they got the shot.
That's
that
really
man
sad.
needs to go to jail. I don't care if he's 85 years old.
Well, that's the thing right now is that this was something that from the beginning they said it could mess with this stuff, and Fauci said no. Now, look, I think that we would all say as things are developing and they're testing these things out and they're rolling it out, if they had said, hey, guys, we're seeing some red flags, stop doing it, I think most people would understand that. But then sticking to your guns when you're seeing the data, they were never following the data. It's just like here in King County. When we got the documents that said, we're having more breakthrough cases, it doesn't look like this thing's stopping the spread. And it was months after that that Inslee did the mandate. Dan, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Got about a minute left. We go back quickly to the KVI studio line. Take a call from Joe in Maple Valley. Joe, what's going on?
Yeah, I was listening to a talk show off the grid, and 4 women had got their vaccines, and the next day they miscarried.
Well, Joe, I need some sourcing for that. I need a little bit more sourcing for that. You don't need to tell me who the talk show is, but we need a little bit more than that. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. I do find what's going on in the WNBA revealing all the hypocrisy of it. You have these coaches wearing these T-shirts that say trans rights matter or whatever it is, but now a bunch of men say they identify as trans and want to play in your league. That's their truth. That is the truth they are living, and you won't let them play in your league? That sounds a little hypocritical to me. Just a smidgen. Do you think we've reached the end of this insanity, or you think the league's going to do something worse? I love how the league has to have a meeting right now to figure out if women belong in the WNBA or if men do. It's like they're doing a math equation. Does 1 + 1 = 2, or does 1 + 1 = fish? That's kind of what the meeting is that they're having right now, which is beyond insane. We're going to follow this career with great interest. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. Up next, your last chance is this week to take the trip or keep the cash. So this is the last chance you have this week to do that. That's coming up next. Plus, also, a judge is completely unhinged regarding repealing the income tax. We'll play his biased statement for you when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. Coming up this hour on the most dangerous show on the airwaves, Joe Kent shows he knows absolutely nothing about terrorism or is a gigantic liar. Brian Haywood from Let's Go Washington will be joining us to give us the latest details on how the fight goes to repeal the income tax. But before we get to any of that, my friends, this week, all week, is your last chance to take the trip or keep the cash. That means after today, you only have 4 more chances. So here's how this works, my friend.
Well, 4 more chances on your
show. My show.
Yes.
Yes, on
The
my
other
show.
shows.
Other shows, they do what they want.
Yeah.
This is on my show.
Yeah, but
Okay.
if you want more chances tomorrow, listen at 8.
8 and 11
and
4.
1 and 1
and 4.
then
Yeah.
So
Okay.
4 more on yours, but like please people, you have more chances. Listen to the other shows.
Either way, it ends at the end of this week, and we save the best trip till last.
Correct.
Where are we sending you this week? You have a choice of going to Hawaii or $3,000 in cold, hard cash. So all you have to do, you should be pros at this by now, text the word I give you to the number I give you for your chance to win. Today's word is hula, as in if you go to Hawaii, you can see a hula dance. You can wear a hula skirt. I guess you technically don't have to go to Hawaii to wear the hula skirt. H-U-L-A. Text the word hula, H-U-L-A, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757 for your chance to win. Okay, switching gears to something happening here in Seattle. This I really should have done in our segment When the Right Gets It Wrong, because I think a lot of people are jumping to conclusions about this story, about this closure, trying to wrap it in with everything else. And while there's an element of that, I think it's something else. Let's do the story together, shall we? I picked it from the wokest outlet I could find, King 5. A longtime Pioneer Square toy store abruptly closed after nearly half a century in business, leaving customers and neighbors with a few answers about what led to its closure. With few answers about what led to its closure. Stop right there for a second. Kevin, I don't know a lot of people going to toy stores these days who aren't, middle-aged men who like to buy collectibles. The kids are getting everything they want on Amazon. They're getting the video games. They're getting the screens. They're not buying the toys as much as they used to. Also, anybody see a Toys R Us around here anywhere?
Yeah,
anybody see a KB Toys?
I was going to say the toy stores now you see are more like boutique, sort of like for younger kids, and they're more like learning toys stores, sorts of stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, your Toys R Us's, your KB Toys, not a thing really.
They're all gone. They're all gone. No FAO Schwartz is around anymore. No. You don't really see any of that stuff because
there's one place you need to get the toy for the kids. It's T-Mobile or any other various places. It's a tablet or a phone. Unfortunately, that's the way it is.
That's what we're looking at. So why did the place close? I don't know. Then you put to that, you're located in Pioneer Square. Okay. I'm surprised you survived since the 1970s. I really, really am, opening in Pioneer Square. But then it gets to this. Magic Mouse Toys, which opened in 1977, is now covered in paper. A notice posted on the door says the store has closed for business permanently and thanks customers for shopping there for more than 40 years. The note does not say why the business closed. Hang on, we're about to find out why. You ready for this? The sudden closure surprised people walking through Pioneer Square, where Magic Mouse had become a familiar part of the neighborhood. Quote, "When I was younger, we used to come here all the time," said Seattle resident Vanessa Bunig. Bunig said she had not been inside the store since she was about 13. Gee, why'd the store close? As much as I want to rope this in with Seattle's doom loop spiral, guys, no. You know something that really brought joy to me? My grandma always would take us to Toys R Us. And there was a Toys R Us near her house, and she would say, here's $20. You can get whatever you can for $20. That was our shtick anytime we went to grandma's house. I got to take my kids to that Toys R Us, I think, twice before it closed. And I remember going down the aisles and going, okay, where's like the G.I. Joes? Where's like the Transformers? Where's the stuff from my generation? None of that's here anymore.
I was going to say, how sad of an experience was that?
So sad, Kevin.
I did the same thing going in shopping for my like niece and nephew. You go in there and you, as an adult, you haven't been in there forever. And I don't have kids. Right. So I go in and let's go to Toys R Us. It was shocking to me and my wife. How
sparse,
empty and sparse.
And tons of video game stuff.
Yeah.
But all the other aisles, I'm like, where's all the fun? Where's the bicycles? Where's the Power Wheels? Where's any of this stuff?
And they kind of started making it more like a maze.
Yes.
You had to weave in and out of like where, when I was a kid, it was like the Costco of toy stores. It was just like big, tall, long aisles. Just like endless. You're like, oh my God. You go in now, it was like all cramped and they had like, just it kind of looked like a larger section in like a Target or something.
Yes. Here's something else. You go, what was that TV show where the kid would get to pick all the toys off the toy shelf? It was like Supermarket Sweep, but for kids with toys.
What was that? I forget what
I don't remember, but I remember the show.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the luckiest kid in the world. Why aren't you getting that? You got to get that. Get the Nintendo, right? But why aren't people going to the store in Pioneer Square anymore? Gee, that's a head scratcher. Do I feel bad? Of course. It's always terrible when a business closes. But guys, the industry has changed. Those kids are shopping on the Amazon.com.
I know exactly what store that is because back in the day in my 20s when we used to go down to Pioneer Square because there was all the partying was down there.
Yeah.
That I know exactly which toy store that was. It shocks me that it still existed.
So let me ask you a question. When was the last time you actually went into that
I
store?
don't think I ever went into that store.
There we go.
Because even as a kid with my parents, I walked by and went, oh, that's one of those...
specialty toy stores.
Yeah, that's one of those kind of old people toy stores. I don't want to go in there.
Right.
You walk in, everything's made of wood. There, like you said, there is no G.I. Joe. You know, there's inevitably something to do with Curious George in there. It's like, no.
No, not for me. They have a very nice bookshelf. Not my kind of toy store, right? We know what we're talking about here. Now, the businesses that are leaving that I can blame on what's going on with the economy is like Starbucks. We mentioned on Friday, Starbucks is closing another Seattle location. According to the Puget Sound Business Journal, this is at 999 3rd Avenue because the major tenant in that building is leaving. Dropbox is moving out of that building. They're moving to another location. Dropbox accounts for over 50% of the office space in that building. So Starbucks says, why should we have this when we have these massive vacancy rates? Latest estimates put the office vacancy rate in downtown Seattle between 35 and 37%. You don't need a Starbucks when there's nobody working down there anymore. This is one of how many Starbucks did we learn have closed already in this area? What are we learning? Like 40 Starbucks have closed? Over 32 Starbucks locations in the state have been permanently closed before this. So now, by my math, with the ones we've been talking about recently, we're up to about 40 of them, including high-performing locations like at Pike Place Market, like at the Space Needle. All these high-profile locations are closing, but also small ones as well. There is not a Starbucks within walking distance to our studios right now. Not a single one. If I want to go to a Starbucks, I got to get in a car and drive to it from the studio because there are none around here. And we're in Queen Anne. We're on the other side of Climate Pledge Arena, and there are no Starbucks near here. That's how you know they're bailing because they're also opening Starbucks elsewhere. Now, they're not the only ones leaving. Meta is right now trying to sell a 9-story office building in Bellevue that's still under construction. They're putting it up for sublease about 5 years after they said they would fill the thing. So you think it's just Seattle? No, they're rolling out of the state. This is the Block 13 building at 1325 123rd Avenue Northeast, according to the Puget Sound Business Journal. Meta signed a 15-year pre-lease on the property in October of 2021, and they had options to extend the term by another 17 years, but it's not finished. So now they don't even want to expand in the place. They've been rolling back other plans to expand beforehand. Now you may say to yourselves, oh, Ari, it's AI, it's AI, it's AI. Nope, it's Washington, and I can prove it. In an effort to invest in U.S. towns and cities that are hosting its data centers, CEO Mark Zuckerberg, according to the Post Millennial, announced a $1 billion initiative dubbed the Future is for Everyone Fund on August 10th, aimed at directing resources toward local teachers, first responders, energy, and perhaps most pivotal, water infrastructure. So, Zuckerberg laid out Meta's vision for the future of AI in an article that argued that access to increasingly powerful technology would be crucial to maintaining individual freedom and greater economic opportunity. He says, we propose a philosophy based on individual empowerment as a source of prosperity, invention as the primary purpose of superintelligence, and balance of power as the foundation of safety. Zuckerberg wrote he could not understand much of the backlash around the advent of AI in American society. He said, quote, it is surprising the discourse from many developing AI is so filled with doom. I do not understand why anyone who believes that AI will eliminate most jobs and much of humanity's relevance would rush to build that future. The notion that AI is so dangerous that only safe path is an extreme concentration of power seems inherently problematic. Historically, hoping that an absolute power will benevolently, provide for humanity if sufficiently enlightened has not led to safer, positive outcomes. Basically, what he's saying is, you want to let China have all the data centers? If China has all the data centers, then we got big problems, and AI is programmed by China. Water infrastructure is expected to be one of the major focuses of the initiative as Meta continues expanding its data center operations across the country. The company has committed to becoming water positive by 2030, meaning it plans to replenish more water than it consumes through its operations. But Washington, Seattle, King County are saying, nope, we don't want the data centers. Don't bring those jobs here. Don't bring that money here. We don't want it whatsoever. Bellevue might have tried to say, hey, we want a data center here, but no, you know what's going to happen? Zuckerberg and crew are going to say, but then we need the jobs to maintain the data center, and we have to do the high-paying jobs in Washington, and Washington is taxing the high-paying jobs, so we are getting out of here. They're not the only ones. Here's another company, for example, and this one we got from DM Magazine. After a 2-year hiatus in Seattle, business power couple Dave and Leanne Clark have returned to Dallas, and they're bringing more than their 2 boys with them. The headquarters of their fast-growing supply chain technology startup Augur is coming too. The Clarks co-founded Augur in 2024 with an ambitious premise: build the kind of technology that could fundamentally change how some of the world's largest companies manage their supply chains. Investors have bought into the vision. Augur launched with a $100 million Series A, raised another $50 million in July in a Series B, bringing its total funding to $150 million. And now they are leaving and going to Dallas. Why do you think that is? Anybody got guesses on why you take a $150 million company out of Seattle and move it to Dallas, Texas? Anybody have any theories why? You can guess. Now, Washington is slitting its own wrists economically by going down this road of the income tax. The amount of people who have told me if we don't repeal the income tax, we are out of here is astronomical. Astronomical. But now I got to tell you something that happened on Friday. I got a text from Brian Haywood on Friday. Did you see what happened with this judge? I said, I think I saw a video, but I don't really know what happened. He says, hang on, I'm going to send you all the files. He sends me all the files. What's going on? A judge launched into a blatantly biased tirade during a hearing over the ballot language for the repeal of the income tax. So here's what's going on. You have the repeal of the income tax, and the Attorney General of Washington State gets to write the language. So what does he write? He writes, all the children are going to lose the funding for the schools and for health care and for college. If that's the case, then how come it doesn't go into effect until 2029? If it goes into effect in 2029, you're not losing any funding right now for the income tax. Spare me your nonsense. You wrote this to try and pull at the heartstrings so people will vote against repealing the income tax. So Let's Go Washington says this is blatantly false and challenged it. Now, here's what happened in the courtroom, because this gets a little complicated of the clip you're going to hear. There's a dude who's there on his own who's advocating against the income tax. He is not from Let's Go Washington. Imagine, if you will, the TV show Parks and Rec, when somebody shows up for a public hearing at a city council. That's basically what this guy was doing, showing up and saying he's against the income tax. The judge took the opportunity to not even hear the Let's Go Washington case, rule against it, and go on a biased tirade about how we shouldn't repeal the income tax. That's what this craziness actually was.
Do you think that the judge was confused that the guy he was talking to wasn't a representative?
I think, one, the judge was confused, or worse, the judge saw it as an opportunity to rule without even hearing the case. And here's the thing about this. When you hear this crazy audio, because it is insane, this judge is flapping his hands like wings. He's so excited. It looks like he's going to take off. He's so emotional. I got so many screenshots of this Looney Tune. He clearly is biased and doesn't want the tax repealed. Or somebody said, hey, if you kibosh this, the next time an appointment rolls up for the Supreme Court, we're looking for judges. Maybe. This guy took the opportunity to not even hear Let's Go Washington's case and squashed it. Give a listen to this unhinged rant for a second. It's a little long, but you're going to hear what I'm talking about.
Even when that's not the case, and even when the legislature is the only one who can reduce funding for these hot button items. And then Griswold.
Aren't initiatives that seek to reduce taxes without any reference to the impacts of that not neutral themselves? No one wants to pay taxes, right? Yeah. But if we all just pretend we don't have to reduce any services as a result of those cut taxes, isn't that not neutral? Isn't that only showing half the picture to voters? Isn't identifying what's going to be cut what's making it neutral in the end, because it shows both sides of the ledger?
Stop right there for a second. So first thing with this dude is, no, you can cut spending on non-essential services. But two, you're responding to public comment? You're responding to the random dude? Have you ever heard a city council member respond to a random dude? Normally you just go, thank you. Up next, Joe Smith. That's normally how it goes, right?
That's why I was saying, is this guy confused or something? Or did he just feel like, you know what? I just want to go off today.
I think it was that. I think it was option B.
And the other thing,
the OFM's fiscal statement is neutral. I don't have any objection to that. They want to append that.
How long is the statement?
It's significantly longer, but
how much space is is allotted for the PID?
Well, the PID is one sentence, but the PID is not neutral. And
why?
Because it says stuff that isn't true. Okay, it says these services will be cut, and the legislature cuts those. And in this case, there's not even going to be any money reduced.
So then, can we ever have a PID? Because if we don't know what's going to be cut, again, aren't we back to where we started?
Again, I believe, yes, that's the facial challenge.
So this is just inherently, all PIDs are lies and not neutral.
No, the ones where they insert what's going to be cut, the ones where the revenue's targeted, are different.
So unless the initiative itself specifies specifically the cuts, they're lies. If they're identifying some cut. Because it's not part of the.
If they are saying that this initiative will produce cuts in the.
Reminder: this is not the person arguing the case. This is a random dude. These are not the people who brought the lawsuit. This is a random dude, and you're treating him like the attorney for the case that's before you.
My other question is, so this guy knows that this judge might potentially hear this or deal with this, what Let's Go Washington is doing, and he just shows up to argue his support?
Yes, and we got callers who do this in their own way, too. So now imagine some of our callers, for example, who show up to testify at, I don't know, random city council members or some council meetings or Sound Transit or anything else like that. Imagine random people showing up and then the city council or the people on transit doing this with them.
Yeah, at this point, though, don't you want to say, like, hey, guys, if you're planning on going down there, please don't.
Well,
wait for an actual attorney to go up and try,
Here's the
go
funny
up
thing.
against the judge with this.
The judge basically called that out. Well, I wasn't going to rule on this now, but now I'm going to rule on it. Give a listen.
In specific services that do not flow from the initiative, yes, the legislature makes cuts.
So we can continue the downward regressive spiral of the tax scheme in Washington state by never having these issues identified in the initiatives.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Did he get a script from the downward regressive spiral? Was that written for him by the Democrats? Kevin, that's why I don't think he was confused. That's why I think somebody spoke to this dude beforehand.
Instead of just saying, we're cutting taxes, no one wants to think about what's getting cut. We're just cutting taxes, spending. That's all. We're going to pass the buck to someone else.
Well, the initiative process is not for that. The OFM produces a fiscal note. That's a neutral fiscal thing.
I mean, is this part of the reason we see deficits time and time again is that the budgeting is broken because no one wants to pay taxes, but we're going to leave it to someone else to do the hard work of cutting the spending? Isn't this an effort to make this neutral?
Are you the defense of this? Are you the other side's lawyer in this? Because you're arguing the case. You're supposed to be deciding the case. You may have your biases, but let the other side make the case.
Well, if you view it that way, but if you view it in a different manner, that the legislature is the one who establishes a budget, the legislature is the one who cuts services, and specific services. The PID says these specific things will be cut by this initiative. That's not true. Okay, there will be a less money in the general fund.
Okay, enough for a second, because this guy's going to keep arguing with the judge. The judge basically said I wasn't going to rule later in a later part of the clip. He basically says I wasn't going to rule on this till later, but I'm going to rule on this now. You want me to rule on this now? And he rules on it. It is clear the system is rigged. It is clear the system is rigged. And do you know how you beat it? You make it too big to rig. That means everybody's got to show up for the midterms and show up in huge numbers to repeal this income tax, because they are doing everything they can to make sure it is not repealed, because then that's money forever. Except it's not going to be money from Amazon. It's not going to be money from Meta. And it's not going to be Amazon from high earners or millionaires or whatever they say. Those companies are all going to be long gone. It's going to be money from you and me. Guaranteed. That's what's going to be. Up next, my friends, speaking of people who have no idea what they're talking about, Joe Kent is back to show how little he knows about terrorism. And that's pretty horrifying given the jobs he used to have. We'll give you all the details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. podcast platform is. That way you never miss a minute of the show, my friends. Joe Kent used to be pretty high up in intelligence, used to do counterintelligence. You would think he would know the difference between Shia and Sunni. You would think he would understand these things given how involved he was in terrorism. So I think he understands these things, and I think he's just lying. Let's not forget Joe Kent has come as soon as he resigned from the Trump administration, anti-Israel, anti-war with Iran, anti-everything. And he continues to say things that just aren't true. So he was on a podcast the other day. Whose show is this who's one of these people that will still entertain him? Somebody named Julian Dory. I have no idea who that is. Now, those of you who have served in the military before are going to absolutely lose it when you hear what he claims. Give a listen.
The whole myth that Iran is full of like crazy suicide bombers and like crazy jihadis. Number one, like that's not the Shias. Like the Shias don't use suicide bombers. The Shias have never come over to America to kill Americans. Now, the Shias have been pretty proficient at killing Americans when we come to their shores, like in Iraq and in Lebanon. But the Salafi jihadis, the ISIS, the Al-Qaeda, those are the suicide bombers. Those are the guys who are like, at all costs, we're going to hit America, who are crazy. And the only solution to them is to hunt them down and to kill them.
Okay, crazy. Let's back up a second here, all right? Shia is responsible for a whole bunch of terror attacks against U.S. interests all over the place. Iran has backed multiple groups of terrorists who are responsible for multiple terrorist attacks against the U.S. and its interests. Need some examples? Let's just run through a few of them. April 18th, 1983, U.S. Embassy bombing in Beirut, run by Hezbollah and Islamic Jihad, backed by Iran. 17 Americans killed among 63 fatalities. October 23rd, 1983, U.S. Marine barracks bombing in Beirut. Hezbollah, Iran-backed network. 241 U.S. service members killed. September 20th, 1984, U.S. Embassy annex bombing in Beirut. Hezbollah-linked attackers. Americans were among those who were killed and wounded. June 14th, 1985, TWA, Flight 847, hijacking. U.S. Navy diver Robert Streatham murdered. Americans held hostage. June 25th, 1996, Khobar Towers bombing in Saudi Arabia. This was Saudi Hezbollah al-Hijaz with Iranian support. 19 U.S. airmen killed, 372 Americans wounded. January 20th, 2007, Karbala Provincial HQ raid in Iraq. 5 U.S. soldiers killed. 2007 to 2011, multiple attacks in Iraq. Hundreds of U.S. service members killed. February 19th, 2008, the U.S.-based rocket attack in Iraq. 1 U.S. civilian killed, others wounded. December 27th, 2019, K-1-based rocket attack in Kirkuk. U.S. attributed the attack to Hezbollah. 1 U.S. contractor killed, U.S. troops wounded. March 11th, 2020, Camp Taji, rocket attack in Iraq. 2 U.S. service members killed. October 23 through 2024, mass campaign against U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria. Hundreds of attacks and injuries. January 28th, 2024, Tower 22, drone attack in Jordan. 3 U.S. soldiers killed, dozens wounded. All of these attacks were Shia. Every single one of them. You're either ignorant or you are deliberately lying. Like Abdul al-Sayed, who is claiming he doesn't want Sharia law in the U.S. Funny, because we actually have tape from a few years ago of you saying you want Sharia law in the U.S.
Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Question 755. When the state of Oklahoma voted in a referendum to amend the Constitution to ban Sharia law, what does that mean? I don't know. And yet the voters banned it anyway. And I don't have to tell you that the same exact forces that drove native peoples from their land 2 centuries ago, destroyed Black Wall Street a century ago, bombed a building decades ago, and tried to ban Sharia law not a decade ago, that those forces are alive and well today.
Wow. Just wow. This is the Democrats nominee for Senate in Michigan. And then we got people like Joe Kent, who are allegedly on our side, who are basically excusing the behavior. Wonderful. Fantastic. Like I said, this election isn't between right and left. This election is between normie and crazy. That's what you're going to see on display at the ballot box. Up next, my friend, speaking of the ballot box, Brian Haywood's going to be joining us to give us his insight on the crazed judge and how we can make sure we are able to repeal the income tax, protect women's sports, and guarantee parental rights. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Usually not much happens in the news on Fridays. And there was this moment, I'm laughing because it's so insane and ridiculous. Judge Chris Lanez, this judge was the one who was hearing the case regarding Let's Go Washington having objections to the way that the state framed the income tax. Now, what the state is saying is it's going to cut funding for kids, it's going to cut funding for education, it's going to cut all this stuff. Well, it doesn't go into effect until 2029, so how is any of that possible? We're funding all that stuff right now. Joining us now to discuss this judge having a complete meltdown, so much so that he was even making the case for the state, the founder of Let's Go Washington, Brian Haywood. Thanks so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Good to talk with you, Ari.
Such a pleasure. So I see this video circulating. I think actually you started texting me in the middle of my show on Friday. Did you see this? Did you see this? And it's this judge having a colossal meltdown, making the case for the state. And you guys didn't even get a chance to make your case.
That's the real dirty thing here, is that there was a completely unrelated case going on in the morning. When I say unrelated, it wasn't us arguing our case. There's a gentleman named Arthur West who was arguing in front of the court that the financial impact statement itself, not the wording, but just the idea of it, is unconstitutional. And so he was in front of Judge Lanise and was making the case, and the judge asked him, and I think this really was a trap set by a judge knowing that the person before him is a lawyer. He's asked Arthur, well, are you here on the constitutionality as well as the wording? And Arthur stepped into that trap and said yes. And the judge said, well, if I rule on this, I got to rule on all of it now. And that was the trap. He didn't have to. I've talked to some judges. What an ethical, prudent judge would have done would have said, hey, look, I know there's some other cases that are hearing this later in the afternoon. I'm going to not rule on this, right? You'll have to join them. But he didn't. He took advantage of Arthur West saying, no, I'm here for that. And he summarily ruled without reading our argument, without hearing anything that we had to say, ruled against us, ruled that the Attorney General, the way the statement was written, was just fine.
Okay, hang on a second. This is a little insider baseball, so let me clarify for everybody.
Yeah.
This is if somebody showed up for public comment on an issue, and the council, the city council or the county council, looked at that dude and goes, I'm going to judge the entire merits based on you, and then did the case without hearing it, without hearing anything any committee said or anything else. That's basically what happened here.
That's right. Another way that I've tried to describe it is if you're suing an insurance company and your court case is at 1 and someone unrelated to you has an earlier court case in the morning, and they say, oh, hey, by the way, do you want to comment about this other case? And they make the comment, and the judge says, okay, I'm going to rule against you on your insurance case, even though you haven't even been in front of the judge, because this other unrelated person said something.
This is crazy.
It's insane.
This is absolutely insane. So let's break this down a little bit more. Basically, this is the language that's going to be on the ballot. And a lot of people are going to see it and go, oh, my God, it cuts the funding for this, that, and the other thing, and actually vote for it, because a lot of people are not as politically connected as you or I are. And as a result, they're going to see this thing and actually believe it when none of it's actually true. And this judge was flailing, flapping his arms in the air, looked like he was going to take off. I've never seen such an unhinged display from a judge before.
He seemed like he was tweaking a little bit. I mean, there was two things. One was that he really was animated in sort of a substance-altered way. I don't know how to describe it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm not saying that he is, but it sure seems strange. But then the second was that, as you led off with, he was actually making the case for the state that taxpayers just don't understand when they want a tax cut that things have to be paid for, and they need to be made to understand that. That's not a neutral stance. And what he was there to do, the law requires that the financial impact statement be neutral. That's what the judge is supposed to do, and he weighed in heavy and hard on he used the word a regressive tax spiral in his berating Arthur West. So clearly he has an agenda.
He's berating a random dude who has nothing to do with the case. He's just there basically to say, I really want this to be done my way. He's berating this dude. He's yelling and screaming. He didn't even hear the case. I mean, personally, I think this guy just gave you your commercial for everything to repeal the income tax. Like, look, the fix is in. This is what these judges are like.
Well, it's a great way to expose everybody, the public, to what's really going on. If they would have politely said, no, we hear your argument, we reject it. That's painful but it's also sort of what you've come to expect in the state. This guy, you could argue he gave us a gift. He exposed how they really think and how they're running the show, that this is it's not a neutral court. It's a fixed court with a decision made up beforehand. And if they've got a way to keep us from even arguing our case, they're willing to play that sort of dirty game.
Yep. In the last few minutes we have with Let's Go Washington founder Brian Haywood. So what's next? We've got this thing. This is going to be the language on the ballot now because of this fool and because of this rigged game. So what's next for you guys?
I think the most important thing we've got to do based on our last time out is to get everybody to understand they got to vote yes. I've got to find 1.8 million people in this state and get them to vote yes. There's a bunch that are already with us. They just need to know it's vote yes. There's a bunch that are with us but don't vote as often as they should. We need to get them out. And then our polling shows there's a bunch of persuadables who, if you ask them, do they believe that this income tax is coming for them, they vote yes, because they know it is. So our job now is to get everybody to vote yes.
Remember, on the initiatives on your ballot in November, vote yes to repeal the income tax, vote yes to protect women's sports, vote yes for parental rights. Brian Haywood from Let's Go Washington, thank you so much for joining us today. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you for covering it, sir.
Always a pleasure. We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder to head on over to KVI.com. You get brand new articles over there before we even do them on the show. Also, you can sign up to become a KVI insider so we get all our emails about upcoming events, contests, and so much more. Apparently, this crazy story happened a week ago, and everybody in Washington only found out about it over the weekend. Have you heard about this deadly Costco love triangle? Now, you can't blame Costco. This is some of their employees doing crazy stuff, but that's what the headline grabber is. A Costco employee in Washington has been arrested after being captured on video ramming his car into a coworker who was riding a motorcycle. The coworker was hurled into a pole off the roadway, killing him. King County prosecutors released the video. It is graphic. Basically, here's what you see. Car's going down the road. Car is coming after the motorcycle like it's in a movie or something. Side swipes him, puts him into a skid, and the guy skids right into a pole. Dead. That's it. Vicious. So you wonder what all this is about. And then the whole story comes out after it, according to charging documents we got a copy of. Tyler Sorensen, 22, was arrested for allegedly running his coworker, Jonathan Langdon, off the road after following him out of a Costco parking lot in Issaquah, Washington, after seeing him hug another female coworker. Samantha Peterson, the female coworker, is reportedly Sorensen's crush, according to the New York Post. Video of the incident allegedly shows Sorensen running into the back of Langdon's motorcycle, running him off the road and into a pole, which killed the motorcyclist instantly. Quote, Langdon's body is seen violently impacting the metal signpost, causing his body to wrap around the post and recoil backwards, landing face down, court documents said. Langdon's motorcycle kept traveling forward after the impact. In fact, you don't even realize he fell off the motorcycle. You think just something fell off the motorcycle. This would be a classic case, Kevin, of me going, hey, guys, come watch this. Don't worry, nobody dies. Oh, no, somebody dies, right? Where one of you pointed out, like, that dude's super dead. That's what it is.
Yeah, used to do that all the time. We have to tell you, like, hey, could you not do that?
Well, now I got nobody sitting near me, so now I got nobody to show videos to anymore. Langdon's shirt was pulled up from his waist, and there appeared to be an impact mark on his lower back. The impact mark appeared to match the metal signpost next to Langdon in width and circular holes, which left visible matching marks on his skin. You know what they're saying here, guys? You know those metal signposts that have the little holes in them? You've seen them, the stop signs, the parking signs, the everything. He hit the thing so hard, he basically got serrated on the thing, cheese grater style. It's awful.
Terrifying thing. I have that I live on a dead end road.
Yeah.
And we have one of those signs and it's not properly like installed in the ground. So in a wind, it kind of moves around. I'm surprised hitting one of those things, but I guess high enough rate.
Well, also you hit it at the bottom. Usually there's concrete in those
That's
suckers.
true.
So it takes a lot for those things to really move. You should really call the city about that. Use the Find It, Fix It app.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll be there any day now. Any day now. Sorensen became enraged when he saw his male coworker hug Peterson in the parking lot of Costco headquarters. Sorensen came only feet from striking Peterson and Langdon in the parking lot, where he then waited another 10 minutes to ride after Langdon in his car. He always told me he was just a friend. My blood is boiling, Sorensen had texted friends, along with a picture of the two hugging. After Langdon was hit, Sorensen merely drove to the side of the road to check the damage to his vehicle before driving off, not checking on his coworker, who lay dead on the side of the road. When he was arrested for the crime later on, he allegedly admitted to the crime, quote, I was stupid, but I meant to do it, he said according to court records. Oy. He added he was riled up when he saw Langdon hug Peterson. Peterson told authorities that the two never dated, and she repeatedly told Sorensen off previously. During his Thursday arraignment, Sorensen pleaded not guilty to the crime, and his bail was set at $2 million by the judge. In fact, he apparently told his family he knew he screwed up. The picture of this kid is a recent college graduate. So that's it. Flushed your entire life down the toilet because of a girl who it was unrequited love. Shall we just say that? Meanwhile, this one here, I saw all these articles this weekend from every media outlet in Seattle talking about how great the security is for the Capitol Hill Block Party. Capitol Hill Block Party is this weekend. For those of you who don't know, the Capitol Hill neighborhood of Seattle, traditionally extremely liberal, extremely woke, and they had metal detectors. And the Capitol Hill Block Party went off without a hitch. Now, Capitol Hill has been unsafe ever since the autonomous zone. We have done story after story after story about since the lawlessness of the Capitol Hill autonomous zone in 2020, the neighborhood never really recovered after that. Aside from people moving out, you've got Cal Anderson Park smack dab in the middle of it. You've got roving gangs in the middle of it. You got homeless people in the middle of it. The whole neighborhood just looks like a place you want to avoid these days, which is kind of sad because Cal Anderson Park is actually a really nice park. But now they had metal detectors, and it was the Capitol Hill Block Party who was demanding them, organizers demanding them, the neighborhood demanding them. Good. So now that we have a little bit of common sense, unfortunately it took a terrible tragedy of the shooting at Bite of Seattle. Can we put metal detectors at schools and realize it stops shootings because then kids can't bring guns to school? Every school I went to, my entire life had security. Every synagogue I go to has security. Every sports event, especially post 9/11, has security. When we went to the rodeo, Kevin, there was security at the rodeo. The rodeo. Why do we not do this in our schools? Why do we not do this at Seattle Center? You want to say Seattle Center's too big? Okay, where's the actual festival happening? Where do the festivals usually happen? We know they're near the Space Needle. They're near the fountain. So fence off that area and have security access to that area. It shouldn't be that hard. And yet, we still don't do it. For schools, you already have entrances. Lock all of them except for one way in and out, end of story. Your harder thing are some of those schools that have multiple buildings, but they're rapidly being replaced one at a time, at least in Seattle Public School District. I know other school districts still have those kind of schools. I understand the problems there. I understand the challenges there. But guys, this should be a no-brainer. It is long past time to treat our kids the way we treat our sports heroes. I'm shocked we don't have them at movie theaters yet. Actually, they do at that one Regal downtown. They actually do have I got wanted the last time I was at that one. So, guys, can we do this at the schools? Can we do this at other places as well? Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. Final hour free-for-all is up next. And also, AOC's big announcement about freezing her eggs isn't really about that. It's about running for president. We'll tell you why when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KBI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show's final hour free for all. Your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. Coming up this hour on the most dangerous show on the airwaves. Fauci knew the COVID vax could cause miscarriages and lied about it anyway. And Sophie Cunningham's coach backs the player that clotheslined her rather than her own player. But before we get to any of that, my friends, it's official. AOC announced over the weekend that she is running for president by freezing her eggs. Yeah, okay. Here's what this is, guys. This is her saying, I'm doing this because I need to be here for you and I'll have kids afterwards. I need to run for president, but I'm going to have kids afterwards. That's what she was doing in this live stream, which, by the way, do I need to see you injecting hormones into yourself? I don't care if it's a guy, a gal, or whatever. I don't need to see that on video. That is not something I need to see.
Yeah, you're like, I like to see motorcycle deaths. I don't want to see this.
Exactly
I like to see murder and mayhem.
Well, I don't like to see motorcycle deaths. They just keep cropping up. And then I'm like, and I'm a little dense on the videos, I would say, is that when they happen, I'm like, oh, man, that looks bad. But that guy looks like he's not okay. He's not okay. So I wouldn't say I like to see motorcycle.
But injections for eggs, it stops there.
That's my
okay?
line. That is my line.
It.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to talk about it. But what AOC is doing is clearly teeing up that she is running for office, and her issue is going to be, what can I do to get white women who are who are working women to vote for me? That's the demographic she's going after. Women who want to delay their careers by not having kids, have kids later. That is the demographic she's going after. Here's a little bit of what she was saying.
My insurance does not cover one penny of this.
Because it's elective. Because you are choosing to do it, number one. Number two, there are ways you can actually get money to pay for those very expensive IVF procedures. You want to go have a kid? Go do it the fun way. AOC, guess what? She keeps her boyfriend very hidden so that she seems available, so that desperate people think she's you're saying I have a chance. I'm not kidding. That's really why she does this. And for another reason. This way, her boyfriend doesn't have to disclose her finances. If they're married, he has to disclose her finances. That, and also the woman who's all about rights of people of color and this and that, she's dating a white guy. She's dating the whitest white guy in the world. You don't remember those pictures of that dude in sandals when they went to Florida to get away from New York's onerous COVID restrictions? She's been dating this guy for 11 years. They've been engaged for 4 years. This is elective, what she's doing right here.
It is 100% out of pocket. It doesn't go to my deductible, nothing.
Because it's elective.
It covers nothing. So there's two main sources of costs. So you don't just pay one lump sum to the doctor. You pay for the medicine, and then you also pay your clinic and for the procedure.
You see what this is? She's going to try and get people who have trouble having kids also thinking that she's going to have their side with this. That's what it's all about. That is what this is all about. That and Trump, because this is what she told ABC.
It's interesting to see you kind of open up in, on an Instagram Live, I believe it was. So tell me what it was and why you decided to do it.
I think it's important for us to normalize these conversations, especially in this political environment. The Trump administration has...
Remind us what the announcement was.
Yeah, sure. So I have decided to start the process of freezing my eggs.
Yeah.
And in this political environment where this administration is denying reproductive care to women across the country, from abortion rights to the ability to carry out a healthy pregnancy, I think it's important for us as leaders to have these conversations and share these processes, especially for working women across the country, and normalize them.
This is so transparent what she is doing. She's also trying to get another market at this time, people who are having trouble having kids. It's sad. It costs a lot of money to do IVF. Costs a lot of money. But she's going to try and go after them as well. This is going to be her entire campaign pitch. This is it. Go after the liberal white women. That's what this is going to be. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. But it's a little hypocritical. Number one, she can have kids anytime she wants. She could have had kids anytime she wants, leading up until now. Could have done that. Had the boyfriend for 11 years now. That's a long time. Could have had the kids the fun way instead. But remember, AOC said she didn't feel comfortable having kids because Donald Trump. Back in 2019, she said no kids because Donald Trump.
We don't have to project 1 minute into our future to see that the climate crisis is already here. On this note, I speak to you not as an elected official or public figure, but I speak to you as a human being, a woman whose dreams of motherhood now taste bittersweet because of what I know about our children's future, and that our actions are responsible for bringing their most dire possibilities into focus.
Oh, don't have kids because climate change. Don't have kids because they might be killed in a cataclysmic event, like in the day after tomorrow, might freeze to death. Don't have the children. But now you want to have the children? I'm confused. Didn't you say we were all going to be dead in like 12 years or something, and that didn't come to pass? So now this is the new thing? This is what we're doing here? At the same time, she's also trying to whitewash her image. She's now saying, all that woke stuff from 2020, that was crazy. We're not going to do that again, even though she was the queen of the woke nonsense. Queen of it. Now she's saying we're not going to do that again.
I have a local city councilman that has this saying, woke one was crazy.
Woke one was crazy. Okay, that's
and I think that what's important is that we have to assess what
was it. I mean, did the movement go too far with some of those positions? I mean, you briefly supported the idea of defunding the police.
Well, I think
briefly, she still does. She supports abolishing ICE. She supports getting rid of law enforcement in any way, shape, or briefly. Give me a break.
I think that during this time and especially during COVID, there was a huge opening of the Overton window. We were shut down. There was some of the highest unemployment rates that we have seen because of those shutdowns. Yeah. And I think that the doors were really open in trying to entertain any and every policy that was going to get us to a better place. And I actually think that the discussions that were had in that time were quite fruitful. I think that when we talk about crime today, it's fundamentally different than the way that we talked about crime in bringing crime down.
Really? You know what the discussions are? Yeah, that defund the police thing was stupid. Really dumb. And you were one of the people leading the charge. Oh, that woke stuff was crazy. They would never do anything like that now on the left. They just burn down Tesla dealerships and light Teslas on fire. Yeah, they would never do that kind of stuff like march in the streets for a terrorist organization. That's crazy. That's crazy. They would never cause over $1 million in damage to a building at University of Washington on behalf of a terrorist organization. That's insane. That's insane. She's trying to whitewash her history, and she's trying to appeal to the white women. Where are the white women at? That's what she's trying to do right here. We go to the KVI studio line, take a call from Jason in Stanwood. Jason, what's going on?
Yeah, poor woe is me. My insurance won't cover my inception, but I'm only worth millions of dollars. And I really don't want to pay for it out of my pocket. But then again, I don't have insurance, so poor woe is me.
Do you not remember when her grandmother couldn't afford a roof? And I think it was Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire took up a collection for her grandmother. And then they found out that AOC's driving around in Teslas. You remember all that fun?
Yeah, that's obscene. I can't stand listening to her. I'm only listening to her because she's on the topic today, but otherwise that squeak box, oh my God.
Hang on, have you ever seen Blazing Saddles, Jason?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
doesn't she sound like Madeline Kahn?
Exactly.
Yeah, hang on. You be the judge. Hang on one second. Hang on there. Hang on.
I've been with thousands of men, again and again. They sing the same tune. They start with Byron and Shelley, then jump on your belly and bust your balloon.
See? Don't you think, Jason? Same person, right?
Yeah, it's so sad because so many people are so gullible. I mean, I don't know. That generation, and God forbid she holds office. Man, oh man, it's just nuts.
Yeah, well, here's the problem. She's polling higher than anybody else right now. You know who's right behind her?
Yeah, That's frightening.
Yeah, that's how dumb people are. You know who's right behind her? Take a guess. Of the entire Democratic field, who do you think it would be right behind her?
Oh God, I'm pretty sure I know. I'm lost.
Okay,
You
it's
caught
cool.
me.
So Gavin Newsom, right? Nope, not Gavin Newsom. Josh Shapiro, nope. Kamala Harris, nope. You know who it is? Pete Buttigieg. So you might have a Harris Buttigieg ticket. See, you're laughing at how ridiculous that is. But it's crazy to me that what are the Democrats going to do? She's a Latina female. He's gay. Let's vote for him.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Man. Oh man. If that happens, we're done.
I think the rest of the you think it was bad when Russia took Ukraine or went into Ukraine. Imagine what will happen after that when they see Kamala Harris in charge. Jason, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Dan Smith texted the show. He said, make it stop. She's just as bad as Harris. Every time I hear her speaking, I feel dumber. Guys, get ready for it. There's going to be a lot more. Jay says, Ari, if AOC becomes president, she would become another figurehead like Biden. She wouldn't be running the country. It would be a group of people behind the scenes. Yes and no. She would push force with her radical agenda. But since she's a bit of a dum-dum, the people who took advantage of Biden would take advantage of her too. I think it'd be half and half. Yeah, I think that. I think 100%. El Darthbo says, Ari, no, not a chance. Really, there's a place in Minnesota, not a town called Hell, that will freeze over before she spouts the truth. Yeah, I'm worried, El Darthbo. I am very concerned about what a future could be with Kamala Harris. As much as we like to make fun of her, I believe she is truly, truly dangerous. I really, really do. Because she pushes the same lefty insanity. Health care for all, which we can't afford. The same nonsense about supporting terrorist organizations. This is the kind of stuff she supports. We know this. This is what she does. I mean, AOC was agreeing with Hasan Piker that the Trump administration was responsible for October 7th.
Israel would have never happened, the attack on October 7th, and you wouldn't have had inflation.
Israel's
as soon
direct
as I get
consequence
back
of
into
the Abraham
Oval
Accords and many of Jared Kushner's and Donald Trump administration's actions, like moving the embassy to Jerusalem.
10,000.
10,000%, she says. So the Abraham Accords, which brought peace to the region, moving the U.S. embassy, and anything else they did to bring peace, you are now blaming Trump for October 7th, not Hamas for October 7th. 10,000%, she said there. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. And this is a person who the Democrats might put up there. You know why Chuck Schumer would support her? Because if she's running for president, she's not running for his Senate seat. And watch him fall in line behind her. 100% that's what's going to happen. The Democrats will be so happy she's not challenging any of them, and she's one of the top fundraisers in the party. They're going to say, good, let's put her up there. Let's do this. Absolutely horrifying that could be the Democrat nominee. And she's going to run on the same failed policies she's been pushing the whole time she's in office. Luckily, she hasn't gotten any of them across the finish line. Can you name a single piece of legislation? Anything she's accomplished? How about Buttigieg? Anything they've accomplished? Gavin Newsom destroyed California. You have an adult, you have somebody like Josh Shapiro. They're not going to pick him because he's Jewish. Not going to do that. So then you're left with somebody like her. Kamala Harris is not going to be the nominee. She's just not. This one here from Becky and Enumclaw. Well, unfortunately, I wouldn't be surprised if someone like AOC got in just because the voters are so ridiculous. You know what's even crazier? There's some guys out there who go, I think she's good looking. I'll vote for her. Same way there's some girls out there who go, oh, Gavin Newsom, got a good head of hair. I'll vote for him. So you're saying there's a chance. And there are people who literally voted for Bill Clinton for that reason. Oh, he can play saxophone on Arsenio Hall. Dan Smith. Good reference to Blazing Saddles. It's twoo. Can't do that scene on air anymore. Get canceled for something like that. Yeah, this is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Bruce has his own theory on why she's freezing her eggs. He says AOC is freezing her eggs because, like the Pearl Jam song, she's looking for a better man. Casper the Friendly Ghost has put up with her for 11 years. Okay, that's mean, Bruce. That's mean. No, Bruce, they haven't gotten married, because then he has to disclose all his finances. And if he discloses all his finances, you're now going to know who was making all the money while she was in Congress. Think about Paul Pelosi for a minute there. That's probably why. Why else would you be engaged for 4 years and been dating for 11 years and not married yet? Was this like a Goldie Hawn, Kurt Russell situation? Is that what this is here? Is that what we got going on here? Somehow I doubt it. I don't think so. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. When we come back, the Fauci. We have his texts. They were released. And now we find out he was lying to all of us, claiming that there was no harm to pregnant women from the vaccines, but talking behind the scenes that there may actually have been. Give you all details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, if you missed parts of the show, the Ari Hoffman Show Reloaded is coming up from 6 to 7 p.m., brought to you by our friends over at Wade's Eastside Guns and Bellevue Indoor Range, Puget Sound's premier destination for everything firearms. So remember, that's content from today from 6 to 7 in case you missed any part of the show. Well, earlier today, Senator Ron Johnson and Senator Rand Paul released initial texts from Dr. Fauci's government phone. Now, a lot of it is benign and stuff we don't really care about, but there is one thread that is very, very interesting. This is from Dr. Fauci on January 25th, 2021. Let's go back in time to January 25th, 2021. What was happening around that time? That was right around the time KVI was hiring Ari Hoffman. No, that's not what we were talking about here. What's going on at that time was that was when the mandates were being rolled out. That's when the mandates were being pushed. Joe Biden was now in office, and it was a doubling down on everything in response to the surge, the Delta, the Gamma, the Theta, the whatever thing we read on Star Trek that week. We're going to use that as a surge. We're going to name them all with surges. You remember all that? Well, remember that they were mandating in certain employments that certain employers were mandating that you need to get the jab or you lost your job. And remember, there were some people saying, I'm not really sure about this, especially pregnant women, who were saying, I can't have mercury. I can't have sushi. I can't have alcohol. And you want me to roll the dice on this thing? No, it's perfectly safe, perfectly fine. In fact, here's what Anthony Fauci said at the time.
Approximately 20,000 pregnant women have been vaccinated with no red flags, as we say. And this is being monitored by the CDC and the FDA.
He was lying. He was absolutely lying. This is a text from Dr. Fauci, January 25th, 2021 at 6:45 p.m. I asked around a bit more, and another issue came up that you need to be aware of. Since many people have significant cytokine storm and fever after the second dose, this theoretically could be associated with miscarriage in the first trimester. I thought it wasn't a problem. I thought there were no red flags. You knew, and you continued saying there was no problem. February 3rd, a week after he said this, Fauci said the FDA has found thus far, and we have to be careful, but thus far, no red flags about pregnant women. A week after he said there were red flags. October 11th, 2021. CDC, Sasha Ellington, we are not seeing a signal of safety concerns of the vaccine in pregnancy. This vaccine can prevent COVID-19, and that's the primary benefit. August 30th, 2021. Fauci, again, well, are the vaccines safe? Tens and tens and tens of thousands of women who have been followed by the CDC, who have been vaccinated when they were pregnant. There's no indication whatsoever there's any increase of adverse issues in a pregnant woman who is vaccinated compared to a pregnant woman who wasn't vaccinated. It's pretty clear that pregnant women should get vaccinated. Even though he knew it was the opposite. Do you remember I had Dr. Robert Malone? For those of you who are longtime listeners of KVI and the Ari Hoffman Show, I had Dr. Robert Malone, a member of the team that helped develop the mRNA vaccine, on my show. Had him on my show to discuss these specific issues. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter at the time, all of them took down the interview. It only exists on Rumble now and in our databanks. That's the only place that interview is, because all of them said it was too dangerous to even mention this. Meanwhile, the guy who was on the team that helped design the mRNA vaccine, said it shouldn't be used on pregnant women, shouldn't be used on young, healthy women. There are many questions that have not been answered settling this thing yet, was literally saying, don't do this. Literally saying, don't do this. September 29th, 2021, CDC Director Rochelle Walensky, quote, CDC strongly recommends COVID-19 vaccination either before or during pregnancy because the benefits of vaccination outweigh known or potential risks. She told a White House COVID-19 briefing that studies show COVID-19 vaccines are safe for pregnant women. February 1st, 2022, Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy. It's all more important for you to get vaccinated if you are pregnant or if you're trying to become pregnant. The data points show that the vaccines are safe during these various stages before and during pregnancy. Really interesting, because the miscarriage rate was about 12.6%. Raw data, that's what they were claiming. But the raw data actually revealed an 82% miscarriage rate in women vaccinated during the first trimester. This is consistent with the 81% miscarriage rate noted in the Pfizer 5.3.6 post-market data. These figures mirror the effects of chemical abortion drugs such as RU486. That's how bad it was. And they were saying it's safe. They were saying it's healthy. It wasn't. It wasn't for pregnant women. Do you remember the former ESPN reporter Allison Williams, who was fired because she wouldn't get the jab because her and her husband were trying to get pregnant? Let's go back in time here. This is an article in USA Today from January 11th, 2023. Former ESPN reporter Allison Williams is suing the sports network ESPN after she was fired in 2021 for failing to comply with the company's COVID-19 vaccine mandate. Williams and her former ESPN producer, Beth Faber, both filed a joint lawsuit against ESPN and Disney in Connecticut, claiming their religious beliefs were violated. According to the lawsuit, Williams said she applied in August 2021 for a disability exemption from the network's vaccine mandate because she was undergoing in vitro fertilization. The CDC stated there was they put this in parentheses. The CDC has stated there is currently no evidence that vaccines, including COVID-19 vaccines, cause fertility problems in women or men. They literally felt they had to put that in the article. And now we know the CDC was lying. Williams said she was unable to obtain a doctor's letter to support her concerns because medical providers were being threatened for doing so in California, leading her to apply for a religious exemption weeks later. Do you remember all this insanity? Williams informed defendants in writing that she was a Christian and that her sincerely held belief and heartfelt religious beliefs prohibited her from being vaccinated. You remember how they said, oh, it's so nice you have those beliefs. Yeah, we're firing you anyway. I remember that's an amendment to the Constitution, isn't it? It says all of this is true unless there's the flu. Then it all goes out the window. Then we get to do whatever we want. Williams said she hadn't received any vaccinations since she had a bad reaction to one at age 12 and that her daughter, who was 2 at the time, hadn't received any either. The lawsuit claims that ESPN and Disney made no efforts to accommodate Williams, who offered to work remotely. Everybody was working remotely, test regularly, and wear a mask. If all those things are effective, why wouldn't you let her do it? It's just like our firefighters here in Seattle. Although NFL teams, college football teams, and certain venues didn't exclude the unvaccinated, this was Disney and ESPN doing Disney and ESPN things. Williams' exemption request was denied in October of 2021, and she was subsequently terminated a week later after refusing to get vaccinated. Faber's religious exemption was also denied, and she was fired in September of 2021 after nearly 31 years at the network. In the lawsuit, Faber said ESPN HR representative told her, maybe God has led you to a new career. When God closes a door, he opens another one. Wow. The 83-page complaint alleges that Disney's vaccine mandate was not the company's own doing, but a state action influenced by its symbiotic relationship with the Defense Department. According to the suit, it is well known the Defense Department had exercised direct editorial control over Disney's content. Remember the Ministry of Truth insanity? That control does not stop at content, but extends to direct, indirect, and covert encouragement as it pertains to policies and practices such as vaccination requirements. You remember, people called her nuts. Even in this article, they had to post a thing from the CDC. Where does this thing actually link to? Oh, let's go to the CDC. Hang on, it links to the CDC itself. Page not found. Oh, it's gone now, isn't it? Page not found. Is that because of the Trump administration or because they knew what was coming? January 12th, 2022, Dr. James Thorpe, OBGYN, a maternal fetal medicine specialist, published an open letter to the American Board of Obstetrics and Gynecology with a critique on January 17, 2021, paper published in New England Journal of Medicine. He argued that because 700 of the 827 pregnant women in the study received their COVID-19 injection in the third trimester, those 700 should be excluded from the denominator used to calculate the 12.6% spontaneous abortion rate. The actual abortion rate would actually be 82% if you included the first trimester, but they refused to do so because they wanted the numbers to look good. If all of a sudden you have a vaccine or a shot which has an 82% abortion rate like RU486, it has the same one as an anti-birth, as a birth control pill, then people wouldn't be taking it. I think Fauci needs to go to jail. I think a lot of other people need to go to jail too. This is insane. Absolutely insane. No wonder Joe Biden was writing them pardons. This is a massive fraud. People need to go to jail for this. How many women lost children? How many people lost pregnancies? How many people have other conditions we don't know about yet? Because they pushed this on everybody. You know what it should have been? It should have been, if you have a pre-existing condition, we recommend you take the vaccine. If you feel like you want to take it, go ahead. But if you got COVID, you have natural immunity. Why did we throw out all the things we knew in science for literally decades because of this thing? It's insane. Absolutely insane. Up next, my friends, speaking of insane, the WNBA is back in the headlines again after a coach won't stand by Sophie Cunningham after she got assaulted during gameplay. Give you all details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, coming up at 6 o'clock from 6 to 7 every single weekday right after our show, we got the Ari Hoffman Show Reloaded. It's all content from today that you might have missed, so don't worry, my friends. From 6 to 7 p.m., you got that coming up, brought to you by our friends over at Wade's Eastside Guns and Bellevue Indoor Range. Remember that indoor range the indoor range at Wade's is air-conditioned and open 7 days a week. So don't forget, the Ari Hoffman Show Reloaded coming up from 6 to 7 p.m. Switching gears for a minute here over to the WNBA. So, WNBA is having this big trans controversy. Why? Because a few famous sports stars like Enes Kanter Freedom, I've now said, I've butchered his name like 10,000 times during the show today. I keep doing that again and again. Has declared he's eligible for the WNBA. And now Royce White, former NBA first-round pick, is now saying he's eligible as well.
Oh, earlier this week, I made the announcement. I'm transgender. I'm a woman. I identify as sometimes identifying as a woman for purposes of basketball, professional basketball. So I'll be declaring for the WNBA draft in 2027 as well. I mean, I think I'd be unstoppable, but I'm a team first guy. I'm a pass first kind of player. I do the little things. I led my team in all 5 major stat categories at Iowa State University. So I do a little bit of everything. I'll do whatever the coach needs me to do. I'll do whatever the girls need me to do. I think the WNBA could come out and make a definitive statement about guys with a pair of balls playing in the women's association. But hey, that'd be probably too much like right.
This is ridiculous. It's a new level of crazy. He wasn't done yet.
I'm just having a blast in my feminine era. I never thought that I was a woman. I've always trusted the science, and I thought I was a man my entire life. But after further review, strong look at my personal preferences, it would appear that I am indeed sometimes identifying as a transgender woman, and I think it's only fair I get a chance to play with some of my queens here in the twilight of my career, my athletic prime.
It's calling out all the BS insanity. Now, Royce White, don't forget his career ended because he had this really bad phobia of flying, so he couldn't travel with the team, and that becomes a big, big issue. Well, he has a new explanation for why he had that phobia.
I realized my fear of flying really wasn't a fear of flying. It was the transgender trapped inside of me, caged inside of me, that gave me an aversion to small spaces. I think there are plenty of people out there who have
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
A transgender trapped deep down inside of them. And so they think
oh,
they're
every one of you.
claustrophobic.
Oh, no. Every one of you do. Let's just be.
Yeah, they think they're claustrophobic. Not really claustrophobic. It's the transgender that's trapped.
He's calling it out. He's absolutely calling it out. So now this has gotten so crazy that the WNBA commissioner has called an emergency meeting with all the team owners to discuss it. You need to have a meeting that the WNBA should be for only women. You need to have a meeting about that, do you now? Do you? Really? Maybe we should have a meeting. How much is 1 + 1? I think we need to discuss it. Is it 1 or is it pizza? I think it's pizza. That's what it is. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Now, mind you, something else this weekend. Don't forget, Sophie Cunningham has been speaking out a lot about this, right? So over the weekend, I don't know if you saw the play. It was all over social media. Not that anybody here watches the WNBA, but it was all over social media. What happens? Sophie Cunningham is on a fast break heading down the court. She's going for a layup when all of a sudden this player named Dejanay Carrington comes down on her. They called it a clothesline. It wasn't a clothesline. That was a full-on smack her to the ground as hard as you possibly could. Sophie Cunningham gets up. She's got blood coming from her face. She goes right after Dejanay Carrington. Dejanay Carrington gets ejected from the game with a technical flagrant foul, which 100% she should have been. And then she goes on social media and says it was white privilege that got her kicked out. White privilege! That's what got her kicked out. Did I mention, by the way, that Dejanay Carrington is black and that she has a blonde wig on that she wears all the time? I think that's cultural appropriation. I think that's racist, what you're doing there. This is so insane and so out of control. And just when you think it can't get any crazier. So, Sophie Cunningham is on the Indiana Fever. Her coach is Stephanie White. Oh, that's racist. Stephanie White must be racist. So, her coach should have her back. Instead, she's sticking up for the player that just assaulted her player on national television.
One of the things about Nay is that she's going to play her butt off, man. She's going to compete. Nobody's going to go walking in for a layup. And so I don't oppose the hard foul, but I also don't think that she intentionally went for the net.
If I was the ownership of the Fever, I would be firing her right now. You stick up for your player. You stick up for your player. You don't defend the other player. This stuff has reached a whole new level of insanity. Why are they attacking her? Are they attacking her because she's white? Are they attacking her because she said girls belong in girls' sports and girls' sports should only be for girls? Are they attacking her because it's competitive? Well, just when you think the insanity has left Seattle, no, my friends. It is still here. It is still alive and well. Do you know about the vote that the Seattle City Council is having tomorrow, which will likely pass? So they already had a vote where, well, let me back up a little bit more. Do you remember when these random groups with no evidence whatsoever claimed there was a trans refugee crisis happening here in Seattle? I wrote an op-ed for the New York Post about it at the time. I said, this is the new grift. Just watch. They're going to claim they need housing and medical care and food for the trans refugee crisis. And then there's going to be these organizations that pop up out of nowhere to take the money for the trans refugee crisis. And we don't have the money because we have a massive budget deficit because so many companies have left Seattle, but we need the money for the trans refugee crisis. Well, one committee led by Alexis Mercedes Rink, who's the socialist on the Seattle City Council, is already approved $300,000 of your tax money going to the trans refugee crisis. I kid you not. Give a listen. Whoops. I think I got the wrong thing there. My bad. Okay. Don't worry about it. Was that the beginning of the thing? Did I miss it? It is the beginning of the thing. Okay, we'll play it. Hang on a second.
Colleagues, this amendment would reallocate $300,000 in one-time funding to the Human Services Department to grant funding to community-based organizations supporting LGBTQIA individuals with essential needs, including, most namely, support with emergency shelter, housing, food access, employment support, and more. So while this is one-time funding, I recognize it is not enough to address the full need, but I believe this is a start and signals our commitment that the city of Seattle will remain a welcoming city to the queer and trans community.
Okay. Can we stop right there for a second? Stop right there. My bad, Kevin. I sent the wrong one. That's totally my bad. I didn't mean to send that one. That was my bad. So what happens here? Alexis Mercedes Rink is allocating $300,000 to the trans refugee crisis of your taxpayer money. Are you kidding me? So now these random organizations are going to pop up out of nowhere to take that money. Tomorrow is the full vote of the Seattle City Council. What do you want to bet they all vote for it? Because otherwise they're going to be seen as transphobic and bigoted. Just watch. This thing is going to pass. I know some things on social media have said it already passed. No, it passed committee. It's going for the full vote tomorrow. Watch. The grift will continue. Guaranteed. Only good news to wrap up the show. Your good news headlines put a smile on your face heading into your evening commute. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Only good news to wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. And the best news is the smoke seems to be gone from our area, where I haven't seen it around in a while, so that's good. Also, it's good that the firefighters out in eastern Washington are getting the fire under control. They're not out of the woods yet, but people in certain areas of Spokane are returning to their homes right now, which is super good news. I actually took my daughter out on the boat yesterday. We were going to get gas. And I've never had the boat get so low on gas before that actually the thing was blinking at me and yelling at me. So I actually got a gas tank at the local store, at the local gas station, that I could bring down to the boat so we could take it to the gas on the water. By the way, I should do that more often because gas on the water is insane. You think the gas price at the pump is insane? No, gas on the water is more insane. Holy cow. For the amount of money I spent, I used to be able to fill up the whole thing. Now I got half a tank. Absolutely crazy. But it was a lovely day out on the water. And actually, I had my new XXXY shirt on, which said Save Women's Sports with an American flag. And my daughter got a lovely picture, which is up in my social media accounts. Ari Hoffman Official on Facebook and Instagram, the Hofffather over on X. Switching gears over here to the Department of War. We don't normally get good news from the Department of War, but according to them, they had a celebration of 5 young Americans from across the War Department who were honored as finalists during the Boys and Girls Clubs of America 2026 National Military Youth of the Year celebration. One of them even walked away with the honor and opportunity to compete at the next level. Stephen B. Simmons, Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Military Community and Family Policy, explained the challenges military children face and how programs like the Boys and Girls Club of America provide vital support to them. Quote, at the Department of War, our number one priority is ensuring America's service members are ready and able to answer our nation's call to serve. One of the best ways we can achieve that mission is by taking care of the people they love the most. Simmons is no stranger to the unique challenges that come with being in a military family. He said when he was in the Marine Corps, his family moved 5 times before his son turned 10. Every time those permanent changes of station orders come in, I saw the value of our family support programs, compassionate, dedicated professionals the world over, who helped take the sting out of those long goodbyes. They kept our kids excited about the future and made every move feel like a return home. Simmons noted that Boys and Girls Clubs of America has been an indispensable partner to America's military families for 35 years. He said whenever families are stationed, Boys and Girls Clubs are waiting for them with open arms. Few organizations could say the same. Above all else, Boys and Girls Club promote values that America's youth need now more than ever. Healthy minds and bodies, a willingness to serve, and a readiness to take the lead. Each year, 5 finalists are named to represent youth centers in 5 regions of the War Department. Patrick A. is the Northeast Military Youth of the Year from the U.S. Army Garrison. Which one is this? Rhineland, the Rhineland Baumholder child, and a youth program in Germany. Although he initially grew up in Ghana, 3 years ago he moved to Germany to live with his aunt and uncle, both Army officers. Describing his experience as very unique, Patrick said because of the short time he's been in the military family, he hasn't seen the things his military friends have. He said, I only moved 3 years ago, so I've never moved myself, but I've seen my friends all the time. I have to always say goodbye to my friends, and that's very sad. But then I know we have the youth centers and the Child and Youth Services programs, Boys and Girl Club of America programs, all around on every military installation. So I know when they go, they have a place to go, and they have a place to make friends. Patrick said he's learned about the resilience of military family life, and he plans to study sports business in college. Kate P. is the Southeast Military Youth of the Year from Naval Submarine Base Kings Bay, Georgia. Her dad was in the Navy for 30 years. She moved 5 times from Hawaii to Maine. As a military youth, I definitely had to move around a lot when I was younger, she said. I had to experience a lot of different communities and adapt really quickly to many different places. She said it's a challenge to grow up as a military youth. She says you're forced to these different places and experience different things that you never knew would happen. Also, having a parent who's away half the time and not being able to see them much during your childhood, it was kind of hard. She said she learned a lot about leadership. She said, I think I learned how to lead. It starts with listening. You need to start by listening to the people who are around you, listening to the communities you're going to. And she hopes to study engineering. This is the one I was waiting for. Ethan K. is the Pacific Military Youth of the Year from Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada. His dad served in the Air Force for 20 years. And as a kindergartner, Ethan remembers seeing his dad in uniform interacting with other military kids. He said the military definitely affected me because I was going to the youth center and being around kids who are also military affiliated and having the same good sense of understanding of service and sacrifice. In fact, when he got older, he got to take an F-16 to save his father from terrorists when his father was shot down. And he had this guy Chappie with him who they were flying along together because the kids on that base ran the air. No, that was Iron Eagle. Sorry, Kevin's shaking his head at me. Come on. It was wide open for that one. His friends on the Air Force Base.
Here's the thing. I've never seen that movie.
Shut your face.
No.
It doesn't hold up well. It does not hold up well.
It just looked corny when I was a kid.
Yes.
Even.
It was super corny as a kid. Super, super corny.
Because I remember seeing a Top Gun in the theater with my dad, which was really weird when the love scene came on. I was very uncomfortable.
The tongue.
But then, and then some like kid at school was like, "Oh man, Top Gun's cool. So's Iron Eagle." And I remember like trying to watch it and just going, "This ain't Top Gun, kid."
No, it's like how they came out with Flight of the Intruder after Top Gun, and you're like, "All right, another Top Gun. Let's go check." Oh, because the book for Flight of the Intruder is actually really good. I have the whole series. I love the Stephen Koontz books, but the actual movie was abysmal. It was terrible and had almost nothing to do with the book whatsoever. It was bad, super bad. Anyway, you watch that Iron Eagle now. It does not get better with age. It does not. But you do recognize some people. Jan from The Office, she's the girlfriend in the Iron Eagle. There's a few other people you recognize in there.
You know, there's like 4 or 5 of those Iron Eagles. Like
I've
a bunch of
seen
them went
all of
straight
them.
to video.
I've seen all of them.
Much of them have nothing to do with even the first one.
No, the most, okay, so they kill off the kid in the second one. Then magically he wasn't actually killed, and he reappears in the fourth one like Chappie. How come you didn't come save me, Chappie? And Chappie's like, I thought you were dead, kid. Yeah, they killed him off in the opening scene of the second one. That was their own fault.
That kid is only known for that movie and The Heavenly Kid as well, right?
I haven't seen The Heavenly Kid.
Heavenly
So for
Kid.
me, he's just known for that one and Iron Eagle 3, 4, 5. I forget which one he's actually in.
Heavenly Kid, you got to give it a shot.
Do I?
It's about a guy who's like a James Dean character from the 50s.
Okay.
His girlfriend is pregnant. He doesn't know it. And he does the chicken race but dies. And his child is born unbeknownst to him. He's in heaven, but to get his wings, he has to go down and be his guardian angel of his son. And if he does that, then he earns his way into heaven.
Okay.
It's good
So
stuff.
this is like this is like the Robert Downey Jr. movie when there's like 5 ghosts who are following him around everywhere.
Or it's
Hardened
like,
Souls.
Or it's like It's a Wonderful Life.
There
but
you go.
A little bit
Take
different.
that one
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Sure. Either way, it's not Top Gun.
But that's the only movies I know that kid from. I can't even name that actor's name. He's in Heavenly Kid and he's in Top Gun.
It's not Richard Grieco.
No,
Richard
it's
Grieco
not
is
Richard Grieco.
He's the discount Richard Grieco. That's who they look
boy.
alike. Yes.
If you're a discount Richard Grieco, man,
That's who
hang
he
it up.
is.
Hang it
That's
up.
who he is. But yeah, you'll recognize some other people from that Iron Eagle movie. Anyway, good thing all these kids doing the good service, talking about the amazing things that they did for other kids, Boys and Girls Club, and also the fact that their parents are serving, and that's not an easy life. It's really not an easy life. So good on those kids. There's one more, Ethan. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Ethan, the one who I was mocking before. No, he's interested in studying biology and government. He says he hopes to do the health profession scholarship program, which is once he finishes college, he goes to medical school and then joins the military just like his father. I mean, this is all great stuff. That's going to do it for us today. But don't forget, because tomorrow we got more insane stories, more exciting guests, and, of course, more giveaways. Reloaded is up next. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.